Hi, my name is BB. I'm 30 years old. I have a special interest, and that is education. I don't have a teaching degree. I did go to college for 6 quarters or 3 semesters back in 2009, 2010, a touch of 2011. I didn't get a degree. College was too expensive to be able to afford. I was auditing and taking more classes for free than classes my parents are paying for, but it wasn't worth their money for me to waste. And in 2011, our state governor at the time decided to raise college tuition by 20% for fall quarter. So I just told my parents, stop wasting your money. I'm done with college. I'm going to start looking for a job. And I got hired at Target within like a month. So I would like to go back to school, kind of. But I feel like I've learned more from reading on my own time without any self-imposed deadlines, without any assignments, without any worksheets, without any ridiculous projects or assignments that are overkill. And yes, they become good practice and repetition for what you will do in the workplace when you do have a teaching job. But to a certain extent, a lot of that busy work you do in college is just that. It's busy work. It's not always going to be materials or content or learned facts that you're going to need to utilize when you do have a teaching job. When I was in my teen years and my early 20s, I did a lot of babysitting. And babysitting kids ranging from ages 4 to 12, and as sibling sets of 3 or 4 kids got older and time went on, the oldest sibling would have been 13 or 14 or even 15, but they would still need someone with a little bit more maturity and willingness to babysit the younger kids and provide that supervision and make sure that doors were locked and dinner was made. One thing I loved doing for all those kids was getting into their homework, helping them finish unfinished worksheets, unfinished assignments, helping them finish their homework packets and homework folders. And in the summertime, every year, there are at least 3 families that I would go to Barnes & Noble and I would get workbooks for those kids because I knew the parents were just going to have babysitters galore, but not really any academic, keep your writing skills up to date kind of material. So I used to buy that book series called Summer Bridge by Carson DeLosa. And I don't like eye contact. That's why I'm looking away from the camera. And this book series was always it was called Summer Bridge because it was the in-between grades. All the books were graded as the in-between grades. So it started at pre-K to kindergarten. Kindergarten to first, first to second, second to third, third to fourth, fourth to fifth, fifth to sixth, sixth to seventh, and finally 7th grade to 8th grade was the final book in the series. Carson DeLosa is a workbook, textbook, educational publishing company that publishes and distributes educational materials for teachers, for classrooms, for parents. You can buy those things at Barnes & Noble or your Office Max or online. You don't have to go to a Barnes & Noble or an educational teaching supply store to get the book. Sometimes they're at Target and Walmart, like in May and June of every year, when all those summer workbooks go on sale in the retail stores. Scholastic has a series, Usborne has a series, McGraw-Hill has a series, Houghton Mifflin has a series. BrainQuest has the regular BrainQuest workbooks, and then I think they have some summer workbooks too. Even when I was a kid myself, in the 90s and 2000s, the Summer Bridge series existed then, and my mom bought that for me every summer from first grade to just after 7th grade. Now, I didn't do every single page of the workbook, but it was still something to do. My mom would tell me, do these 5 pages over the course of a week. And I would do them. And sometimes I would do 5 pages in one day, and sometimes I would do 10 pages in one day, and sometimes I would do 2 pages a week. The great thing about those books is that even if you're not summertime using the book, you can continue to use the book, say, on family road trips or vacations, or you're going on an airplane trip. Get your kid an educational El Cheapo workbook on Amazon for them to have something to do that's not their homework from their school, not their unfinished worksheets you pulled out of the bottom of their backpack and from under their bed. Give them something that looks a little bit different. That's not the standard Common Core, not the standard public school material, or not the standard teacher recommended packet or workbook that your kid's school would give. But instead, you go to Barnes & Noble, or you go to your local homeschool supply shop. You go to a Lakeshore store. You go to Office Max or Office Depot or Staples. Walmart or Target, sometimes in their book sections they have educational workbooks, but each store is different and might have a few extra books in the upper grade levels, and other stores might only have them up to like 2nd grade or 3rd grade. But I would buy these books for kids all the time when I was in my teen years and my young adult years, early 20s, and I did a lot of babysitting. So I am going to do a series. Hopefully, I will follow through and actually do this. I have a bunch of different homeschool curriculum books and lesson books and workbooks that I have been buying for myself for the past couple of years, just to give myself something to do over the course of a year. Even if I don't finish a workbook, I still like knowing, and I still like that feeling, I did one lesson. I may not be going to college right now, and I don't need to give myself a self-imposed deadline, but I still like the academic work, and having it at my fingertips for a low cost of, say, $20 a book, $30 a book, $40 a book. If I went with a standard college textbook, the buyback rate would only be maybe 5 to 8% of the retail cost. And average college textbooks, the teachers, the instructors, they want you to buy the newest edition of a book, because a new edition comes out every quarter or every semester or every trimester. But how many pages and how many sections and how many units and how many chapters are you actually going to utilize from that textbook? How many days out of a single quarter or semester are you going to be assigned actual reading from that textbook? See, that's why I don't like college textbook industries, because it's a waste of money and it cheats you out of your wallet to the point where you might only end up using the book once or twice, and then when you take it back to the student bookstore for a buyback, you get only 5 to 8% back of that $170 retail price. And that's not fair to my wallet, and that's not fair to my education. Not all of those books need to be needed. So, all these books, big pile of books I'm going to do some reviews on, including the Everything You Need to Know Big Fat Notebook series. I have an atlas, I have some history books, I have some recommended reading. I got a Saxon Intermediate Classroom Edition 5-4 textbook at a Goodwill in Oregon about a year ago. It was a lucky find. And some books on one-room schoolhouses, and kind of the idea that here's the history of when schools weren't organized by unions or by districts, but when schools were independent places before a mandated system was required by the government. Which I have no qualms against government schooling, but I do want to homeschool my future kids someday when they exist. So yeah, stay tuned.